When you look at CJ and his development from a year ago to now, what should we see growth in what specific areas?
Yeah, specifically leadership and command. He, he's very intentional. He wants to make sure the offense runs through him, the team runs through him as he should, and he's owned that. There's a lot that goes into that. You got to make sure you're always building relationships with the players, with the coaches, with the staff, people all around the building. You got to own the playbook, so at any time, people can ask you questions, you can facilitate conversations, and then, you got to be willing when we're on the field to demand the best of everybody. You got to be another coach. And he's really lived up and wants to continue to exceed all those expectations. And that really, to me, has been his number one focus.
He said a couple days ago that one area he wanted to grow the most in is the operation of the offense. What exactly does that mean, and how have you seen him grow specifically in that aspect?
Yeah, it involves a lot. And that's why he wants to own it and grow in that area so much. There's so much that goes into that. That could be something as small as how tight we are in the huddle. He puts that on him, to making sure everyone's eyes are on him when he's making a play call. Like, he believes that's his responsibility. To what our demeanor's like on the sideline, how he's handling the offense, what it's like in the meeting room, all the way down to maybe, his timing on a motion snap point. All the stuff that happens before the snap or off the field is really what he's focused on operationally. I think it ties into the leadership part of it as well. And he's made some really big strides through the offseason. Like, you could tell he's really owned it, and he's embraced it, and he's doing a heck of a job.
Players that made strides through these first
I'm sorry, I can't.
Speaking of players that made strides through these first 3 days, have you seen the difference of what has been different about John Mechie so far?
Yeah, he's in much better football shape, right? And that's to be expected. What he went through, that was 2 years. He couldn't do a football workout, and then he all of a sudden rolls onto the field last year, and he just has to go roll like that. That's really, really difficult. I think it's a credit to him as a person that he was able to do even what he did last year, and then now he was able to have an off season, spring, a summer, a fall, to really kind of get back into football shape, be where he wants to be physically, and then obviously second year in the system for everybody mentally has really slowed everyone down, calmed everyone down in that regard. So he's able to just go play football. And that's when John Mechie's at his best, is when he can just go play football, do what he loves, and he doesn't have to worry about all the stuff he's been worrying about for 2-3 years now. It's been really fun to watch.
Bobby, you talked to CJ about defensive coaches are studying you, your offense, what he did last year, and anticipating doing a better job against y'all this year. How do you counteract that?
Yeah, we're always talking about, it kind of goes back to owning, commanding, and operating. We really embrace in that room specifically, not just understanding the offense, but understanding defense. We talk about it a lot. What's a defense do? How do they play quarters? Talk about specific techniques. And then what's our defense do? How's another team play that quarters? And then he spends time with Burke. He spends time with D'Amico. He makes sure he soaks in information from defensive coaches to hear their side. And that really, once you get that knowledge, once you get that foundation, that really is what enables us to go play against whatever the defense does, regardless of how they adjust us. It's inevitable. They're going to make changes from what they did last year. There's things we were really good at that may not present the same way this year, and that's our job to evolve and to continue to grow.
We all see what's fun to do on the field. We have for years. What do you see or have you seen in his interactions away from the field, in the room, things like that?
I just love his personality. He's extremely competitive. He's got energy. He's got juice. I'd never been around him prior to this. And I think I speak for the entire offense and the entire team that he's fun to be around, But at the same time, he wants to be the best he could possibly be. He wants to be coached. He wants to help teach young guys. He wants to be a leader. He also wants other guys in the room, when they have something for him, to coach him and to teach him and get something from Nico, get something from Tank. Embrace, like he's one of us. That's the number one thing that jumps out to me, is he's one of us. He's a competitor. He loves football, and he's been a great dude.
How do you keep all of your offensive players happy, your skill position players, other than winning?
In what regard, John?
Well, just getting them the ball, making sure everybody's happy.
Yeah, that's part of it. I think the main thing here is everyone's goal is to win. At the end of the day, everyone's goal is to win. And when you got the right guys and the right team, that really are all about doing that, you'll be able to feed everybody. Everybody will get the ball. Everybody will get their stats. Everybody, really, all we want to do is win. And whatever, any given week, I think I said this in the offseason, we're really empowered right now any given week to do whatever it is we need to do to win that week. And that's all we could ask for as players, as coaches.
We talked about the ability for guys that have confidence after their first year in the league, or first year in a role. It's your second year as offensive coordinator. Where do you feel like you have more confidence in what you do for year 1, year 2?
I'd say the number one thing is more confidence in who we are. And our identity, this is every year in the NFL, your identity from one year to the next, like it always changes. Your roster, your team, your scheme, it's never the same from one year to the next. It's always growing, it's always changing. But within individuals, I know what everyone's strengths are, and they know me, and they know what my strengths are. And it just helps us, make sure that we're able to get to how do we allow everybody to be the best they can be faster. I'd say that's the number one thing, is just we already have the relationship, and we're continuing to build that relationship all the way across the offense. That just enables us to do that at all times.
You talked about CJ and the communication between those two, and last year you started trusting him a little bit later on in the season. What are the challenges as you start to trust a quarterback more and he has more input? Are there any challenges there as far as the communication and execution on the field?
Yeah, it's like every relationship, right? There are no perfect relationships, but that's part of being human. That's what's great, especially with me and him. I know we've mentioned this before. We're both God-fearing men. It makes conversations very easy. We know there's up and downs all the way along the way, but our intentions always are good. And when you have a relationship that's like that you can always trust the other person's intent, through all ups, through all downs, you can always work through it to get at the best answer, always. And that's really all it is. It's just every other interaction.
When you look at some of the veterans that are out there, one is Joe Mixon. Just how has he meshed with the offense, and then the type of identity and the way that he ran back at Cincinnati, what's really stood out to him so far?
He's a fun person to coach. From day one, showed up and absolutely worked his tail off. You could see right away in phase 2 and in OTAs, I understand now why he was as good as he was at Cincinnati. He puts in an immense amount of work. He loves football. He does not stop wanting to learn, wanting to grow, which again just fits in with everyone else that we have, and he's all in on he's going to do whatever it takes to win. He would love to be used as a passing threat. He would love to be a protector. He would love when he carries the rock. He loves when he's a decoy. He just loves all of it. He's been an absolute joy in every regard to coach. He's a really fun personality.
Maybe your first experience with a healthy Kenyon Green. What have you seen from him, and what has you hope to accomplish with him in training?
Yeah, he showed up ready to compete. He was ready to roll. He's in good shape. He's been working on the things we need him to work on technically and fundamentally. And last year I only had so much time with him. I think we had only camp and a couple preseason games with him, so the time was pretty short. So I don't have the backlog of all the previous stuff. All I know is right now what he's done in the offseason and how he's came into camp is he's ready to go. He's ready to grow. He's ready to work.
Bobby, I don't know if you have been asked about Joe. It was obviously important for you to add more to the running back room. What does he bring, and how does he enhance you guys' offense?
Yeah, workhorse. He's an absolute workhorse in every regard. Not just as a ball carrier. He embraces protections. He embraces other things he can do outside of carrying the ball as an eligible, as a decoy. He's sharp mentally, playbook wise, that he can help carry to the rest of the offense. And he knows what it takes to win. And to me, more than anything else, he really, really embraces that. He doesn't always speak, but when he speaks, he challenges, and he challenges in the right way. And I think right now that there's nothing you could ask for more than that in training camp.
Last one. All set? Go ahead.
Damian, the issues that he had last year, the challenges he had, how's he picked up and worked into how you want to execute this offense?
I'd say pretty similar answer to KG. He came in ready to compete and ready to work. And last year there's always a lot going on, right? This year he's been able to really focus mentally. He's been able to focus physically to where he can hone in on the offense, but he can also hone in on himself. And he's always been a tireless worker. But now he's seeing the dividends of that, and it's been fun to watch him through OTAs now in camp. I mean, he's doing really good stuff in camp. It's been fun to watch, and I'm excited to continue to see him grow.
Thanks, Bobby.
Thanks, Bobby.
Thanks, everybody.
Good. It was good. It was good. Thank you. Attacking.
Who's going to play?
All of them. It's way too early to even make those determinations. We feel pretty good about our depth there. A lot of guys with some different skill sets, and we are literally like rolling through on that with that basis and seeing kind of how that shakes out. So we feel like we added a lot of depth in that room, in that position specifically, and literally it's going to be a pretty good competition to see kind of how that plays out. So there's nothing set in stone any position right now, but that's a very fluid position for us for sure.
Bart, just early impressions so far on Kamari and him in coverage?
Yeah, he's been great. Very competitive. Always around the ball. Like even when he's maybe giving up a completion, he's right there. There's a hand in the pocket. So just has really taken to the techniques we're trying to play, and has had a really good spring, and the camp started the same way. So really excited for him to keep developing where he is.
I think Aziz is a leader, and also understanding D'Amico's defense so well. How much is that a big asset for you guys?
Yeah, huge. I mean, I think it goes hand in hand. I mean, because he has such a comfort level with the scheme and the system, it lets him sort of be freer to be that leader and take on those roles. And to be able to communicate that with the guys, obviously in the linebacker room, very much so, but even with the whole defense. And, all of us having a history now with a year in together and stuff, and then adding guys like that bring that second layer. And it's just been cool, like commanding the huddle and really, honestly, I'd say this, like team-wide, it's really fun to watch the level of communication, even across the ball. Diggs will come over and talk to the DBs, like O-line, D-line, getting some extra work in sometimes after. It feels like a lot of the guys we brought in are kind of have that natural leadership, and just the communication just across all levels has been really cool to watch.
You guys expect Christian Harris back pretty soon?
Expect him back when he's ready to play ball for us. I mean, again, a lot of guys you'll see as you guys are here throughout, we're just different sort of plans to get ready. I mean, again, our goal is game one, week one, and being healthy and stuff. So each guy's kind of on individualized plans. So he'll be ready to go when it's time.
Will said that he added like 20 pounds in the offseason.
I'm sorry,
Will said he added about 20 pounds in the offseason, so he was tossed around against the Ravens. Is that something you guys talked about? Was it a team plan? Was this his plan? You like it?
I mean, we want. I don't know if it was a specific like you have to put on 20 pounds plan. I think, Will's very hard on himself, so. I think it was just how do I word this? We never want guys to get like too big where they can't be good at what they're at. You know what I mean? Will's 400 pounds. That doesn't help him. So like, as long as he can still be explosive and move the way we ask him to move, and then the heavier you are, obviously that creates more power and more impact. So, I think he's done a really good job of just staying lean, staying his lower. He's always been such a powerful lower half guy. I think he's seeing some development in his upper body that's maybe going to help put that strength on for him a little bit. So he's had a good start to camp. It's showing. Like again, he's still moving the way we want him to move and being able to carry the extra weight. Sometimes guys put on weight and then they stop maybe being as fast or explosive. So for him to be able to carry that extra weight and still be powerful and explosive, that's hopefully going to pay dividends in the season for sure.
Y'all made a lot of changes, particularly on defense. In what ways do you feel like y'all are maybe better suited to fit this attack style defense and do what you all are were hoping to do initially?
Yeah, I think every time you go through an off season, again another year with the front office, and sort of like as your vision of how you want to play things comes sort of comes to fruition. So like, you know, Nick and his staff start to see like what it looks like and what we're asking. You know, anytime you're trying to bring players into a system, it's like kind of here's what we're going to ask that position to do. And so as that vision becomes clear and as you go through it more and more and you try to really target guys that you think can have success in this system, I just feel like we've added a lot of depth. I feel like across the board there's been a lot of depth added to, you know, you look at, again, what's guys that are running our second group, our third group right now. I mean, there's a lot of depth across the board there. So I think that's where we've really hopefully, you know, and then the competition raises and kind of pushes everybody up. So that's kind of what we try to do this offseason.
What have you seen from Hey, Coach,
I'm sorry. Next.
Rather, you know, first year, second year, third year players or whatever, the coaching staff has said time and time again that the best players will be on the field no matter the role and stuff. How these first 3 days, how have you guys been looking at that evaluation to determine which one in the secondary is going to have an opportunity to get those roles?
Yeah, it's again, I wouldn't limit it to that position. So all positions, we just talked about D tackle, same thing. Like, you know, sometimes like, and that's what we say. Like, we don't have a depth chart right now. Like, a lot of times the groups that we're rolling out are specific. Like, we know some of the plays we want. Hey, I want this guy to get this rep and see how he responds to that. You know, so sometimes we're just really trying to put each guy in a position and see how they respond in that. Maybe it's that play or with that group or with that call. So, yeah, I mean, that's what this part of the time of year is for. You know, preseason games will be big. There'll be a lot of guys rolling through stuff, and I think we're just going to give everybody an opportunity. What they can do, and yeah, I mean, and end of the day, like, we all want to win ball games, and so I don't care how you got here, I don't care what your draft status was, I don't care how old you are, how young you are. If you're the best player to help us win ball games, you're gonna be on the field for us. So we're just gonna find out who those guys are.
What's the conversation been like with the defense and the new kickoff rules?
I don't know. Yeah.
How much does it matter to how you guys operate, how the kickoff goes?
I think there's a pretty big unknown from that. I know you guys will probably talk to Frank here in a second. Like, you know, I'm not sure anyone really knows how it's going to all play out. So I think that's probably going to be a little bit more as it goes. You get a feel for it and in-game strategy of like, are we trying to pin guys? Are we trying to steal some extra yards here? Do we want to just put it through the end zone and put it on the 30 and play? Like, I don't know how that's going to play. I don't think anyone really does. So it'll be interesting. I feel like the early part of even the season, because again, preseason, who knows? I think the early part of the season will be interesting how that's playing out, and then how people form their strategies based off of kind of what they're seeing. So it's definitely adding a wrinkle, and I know Frank's going to have every angle covered and probably then some. So I'm actually kind of excited to see how it goes. But I definitely think there'll be some added sort of decision-making process and wrinkles of like, when do we want to be aggressive, when do we not? Well, like, are we happy just to put it on the 30? Like, we don't want to risk put it on the 40. Like, can we pin him inside the 20? Like, all those things. So I don't know, but yeah, there's conversations going on. I think it's going to be a sort of real-time sort of process of, as this is going on, what it looks like for us.
What have you seen from Matt, what have you seen these first couple of days from Jalen Petrie? And it looks like you all are putting him in some positions that he may be familiar with, like from his college playing days.
That's a good question. Yeah, we're moving all those guys around. Again, I think we've said this from when we got here. The more versatile you can be, the better it helps us, from disguises, from getting the right people on the field, from different packages. So I would just say this, there's a lot of guys we're trying to cross-train. And again, it's similar to all the questions we've had. Like, we're trying to put guys in positions and see what's the best place for them to be successful for themselves and for this team and to make plays. So there's a lot of guys, Jalen's one of them, that we're trying to bounce around and sort of see. Again, we have added depth in a lot of places, so how do we utilize that depth? How do we get the best players on the field in the best positions? And he's part of that process for sure. He's had a great start to camp, man. He's in a really good spot for us for sure.
You've had an opportunity to work with a lot of really talented defensive linemen, but a guy like Neil Hunter, with his size, his talent, how special is he?
He is. It's funny. I mean, you talk about like Will and adding on weight, and he stands next to Neil, and you see the length difference. So like for a guy that's that long and explosive, it's you almost have to like change your like perspective, because like he's so explosive, he covers so much ground his first two steps. It sometimes doesn't even look like he's launching out, and then you pause the tape and he's 4 yards in the backfield. You know what I mean? So like, it's a very he's done it for a long time. Obviously, he's very natural at doing that and rushing, and just the ground that he can cover and the length he has from an extension standpoint. It's pretty special. He's pretty unique. So excited for him to keep going for sure. Cool. All right, guys. Thanks, guys.
It's not even hot yet. I look like I just jumped into the swimming pool. So I got to get my conditioning up. No, it's excited to be back at training camp with a new outlook on special teams for the rest of the NFL. And, you know, everybody takes pride in their jobs and, you know, just showing up. And it's some new, you know, infused and injected in excitement for my line of work with the new challenges of, you know, the kick, return play. So excited. And then before anybody asks about, you know, who's going to be doing what, it's just, man, everybody's here to prove it every day. And we got a 90-man. And we're going to find out every single day who wants it. And hopefully that, you know, that sorts out the roster itself. So that's our way, and just making sure everybody knows, hey, show up to work every day and prove yourself. So
from a strategy standpoint, what are some ways this offseason you're able to do some planning, whether it's in conjunction with the coaches or Nick with personnel, to kind of get ready for this kickoff rule? How do you think it's going to work?
Yeah, and everybody, you know, just even reading experts and their philosophies. Hey, it's going to be more size players that are going to be used on the unit. You're going to be more speed players. You're going to need more multiple people that can handle the ball as a back end a return man. We have to be able to be diverse and have people, you know, going back to the old, I need to be a football player. So, you know, guys that are receivers have to be dynamic cover players now. Excited just to pick an example, like Brevin Jordan, you know, made a tackle on a kickoff last year. Like, he hadn't done, now he's got to go cover. So it doesn't matter where you come from position-wise on the roster. We've got to be flexible. And then with that many more plays in the game, how durable can you be as a roster? So more players are covering kicks, more players are taking hits, more players are delivering hits. What does that mean for the longevity of 17 games? And how are we going to handle that as a management staff, coaching staff? So excited for the challenges. We'll sort it out as best we can.
This is so new for everyone. Kind of piggybacking off that, how have you kind of gone about learning what might work and what might not work as far as, you know, special teams?
Yeah, and two-part. First part is, man, watch every single thing that's ever been kind of done in that capacity. So every of the other leagues' reps, trial and error in our reps from the OTAs and spring ball, and watching those ad nauseum during the summer break there, and as we get back into camp. And then the second part is kind of how I've always enjoyed operating. Is, you know, it's not my room. I'm a special teams coach, but it's not my room. It's their room. So, hey, fellas, how do you see this being played? MJ, Stewart, hey, could you execute that block? Great. How early do we need to flip to execute our blocks? So just, you know, hey, this is a feedback loop type of time or time of the year, and what we find out can work. And then there's going to be adjustments come after preseason one, and then after the regular season one, and then quarter. So, you know, we'll continue to see. Those are the ones on the grass. Those guys are the ones on the grass doing it, not me. So it's an input and a feedback loop we have going.
Did you attend any UFL games to see how it was played, or was it mostly just film for you?
Yeah.
And are you like a mad scientist and you're cooking up different strategies and how to figure out what is your approach in this part?
First part, I do not go to many football games with my 4 kids, so we go to the high school games. Yeah, so trial and error, a lot of input. We did a whole coaching staff, and then just as many people, whether it's a run game coach, you know, for the offense, or, hey, the linebackers coach, how does he see this being fit, you know, linebacker fitting? So take input from anywhere, for sure. And we're going to do some trial and error course, exotic designs on the whiteboard, and then, you know, see what we can really actually work on the grass, and then move on from there.
What do you see the ripple effect being, you know, like late, deep in the end zone, deep in the red zone, teams going for it? Is it worth going for it now versus kicking the field goal versus when the ball's going to be placed in that type of field?
Yeah, really insightful question. I think overall, well, I think it's going, like, just more on a broad answer, I think it's going to affect the quote-unquote game management. I think timing, like, how is the last last few seconds of a half or a game handled. We all remember the divisional game a few years ago, Kansas City. Like, how was that? So the timing aspect, the game management, the starting yard position, the percentage of uptick that they get if we kick a touchback on the third, how does that handle on going for and things like that. So overall, yeah, there's going to be some adjustments. To what degree, we'll have to find out and learn as we go, try and make the best decisions as we go. Go ahead.
Frank, not a kickoff question, but
Sure.
you've been able to see Tommy Townsend, what he's been able to do
Yeah.
with punting. How impressed have you been with him? And just with that hang time, what does that do for you guys to be able to get that?
Did you? I haven't gotten them. Did you look at them today? I didn't get them. Did you get some? Were they up there?
It was 5-1-5.
I was just too hot because we had 2 blown protections. So that's we got to get that. There's nothing to cover if we don't block it up first. So we'll go back and look. But excited for any new player who joins our roster to come in and prove themselves. Obviously, has proven himself in this league, but what have you done, to get yourself ready for this year and continue to do that? He does have a good leg. I'm excited to get that ball up there and then go make some tackles. So he definitely can hang the ball, and excited to see him mesh in our system and then mesh our system to who he is. It's not just a square peg round hole. We try and blend everybody's skill sets to let them optimize their talents.
Last year
Okay.
you seemed kind of
Go ahead,
sad. You seemed really sad about the potential death at the kickoff. I don't want to say you were depressed, but you seemed depressed-ish. What was your emotion when you figured out that it's kind of being revitalized? Like, were you excited? Were you stressed?
My buddy told me my football spirit is dead. Yeah, I would say I'm a traditionalist. Change is, inevitable relative to everything in our world. But I mean, I'm a traditionalist. It's maybe not exactly how I would do things. But that being said, somebody challenging you to go and perform and find ways to be great at what you're supposed to, your line of work is, and I enjoy that. So challenge accepted, and going to try and do our best. And there is an excitement level of like, hey, can we coach our guys up, and can we get those guys to go play good football? So there's an uptick in spirit, but maybe not exactly how I thought it was going to come along. So good question.
Last couple, guys.
Good. Field position is a direct correlation with points relative to, so you're looking at 2.5 first downs, and you think, if you kick a touchback or you don't reach the ball to the landing zone, or you're too aggressive and it goes out of bounds, you're looking at 2.5 first downs, and you have points for a lot of teams with kickers and strong legs. So every yard line is a percentage of scoring, uptick. So I do think overall the projection is, I do think you're going to see more points. However, on the exact play, there's going to be a little bit, call it, like I watched a bunch of Josh Cribbs growing up because I'm from Northeast Ohio. Okay, so the plays that Cribbs had there was kind of a boom or bust. Like he's getting smacked on the 16-yard line, and then he's getting one out to the 38. So the average is still kind of what we know the kickoff line as. But the swings were bigger, but nobody said, oh, man, that's the worst play in the world, that's the best play in the world. They just said, hey, this is what it is. In the last 5 years of 2018, the 25.5 or the 24.5, anything else, you're either dead or you're a hero. So I think you're going to see bigger swings, and I think it'll desensitize everybody to lower starting positions and further starting positions relative to where the offense or defense is getting the ball. Okay.
What goal is it to get a feel for the play without full contact?
Yeah.
Because the kickoff, obviously there's some tackling happening, and right now it seems like everyone's street drill, staying in their lane.
Yeah. First day of shells for sure, or spiders. When we get the pads on, we've got to, we have to test that out. So to get a feel, like, I don't know. And when we get to, there's a lot of beautiful designs, and then Neville Hewitt comes down and hat and hands you, it's a different game. So we definitely have to put the pads on for at least in my opinion, put the pads on and really find out what can be accomplished and how that really is going to play out. So, but I'm excited to be here for training camp, and every year is special. You never know how long your careers are, all that good stuff, and it's going to be a really hard, competitive, and fun training camp. So excited to be back. See you guys.
Thanks, Frank.